Hey, what's up? I've got a cool little message for you from the Eye of Skye. This one is all about Feng Shui and things you can put in your windowsill to protect you from neighbors who have some interesting energy. But first, Feng Shui. So if you have not heard of Feng Shui, I'm sure you have. It's probably been used in very strange ways, maybe on TV shows. Feng Shui is basically like the practice of how energy flows through your house and like how you can arrange certain things in your house. It's an ancient Chinese thing. Funny story, there's actually some evidence that shows that maybe it came from India and then traveled to China. That's a whole other story. But it's basically this ancient practice of how energy flows through your house. And so I've been practicing Feng Shui for 6 or 7 years, 5 years. Math, not so much my thing. I should have done the math before I got on here. But anyway, I actually accidentally Feng Shui'd our house, our first house that we bought in Beaumont, in terms of the colors for every specific area of the room. There's a special map called the Bagua map, and the Bagua map shows you what every area of the house is for, and it also helps you if your house is not a perfect square, so that you can, close it off and fix that energy because you might be missing something really important. I'll go back into talking about that later. But first I want to show you why I thought to talk to you about Feng Shui today. Check out this plant. He's kind of falling over. A couple days ago, he was like this. Not so much anymore. And there's a reason. I practiced a Feng Shui cure on him, and he did not like it. And what it is these 7 little seashells. Okay, I put 7 seashells there to symbolize the soft metal element, because this area of my home is the soft metal or yin metal element area of the home. Now the thing is, I wanted to make sure, because metal cuts down wood and this tree is wood, which we're going to talk about in a second, but I wanted to make sure I don't want to chop down the wood because it's a metal element, but I really want to have this plant here, so I'll put the shells instead, and 7 is the number of the soft metal area, but I'll put them as shells because that'll symbolize water, and water feeds wood, so I thought that would be helpful. Nope, didn't work. Actually, the energy of it shifted so much. That's like the proof that Feng Shui works, is that this guy started falling over because metal chops down wood. What do you think about it? Water feeds wood, right? Wood needs water to grow. Wood feeds fire. Wood makes fire, or in order for fire to burn, it needs wood, kind of thing. Now, fire creates earth because it turns into ash, which creates earth. Earth creates metal because metal is created in the earth. Think about gold grows in the earth, right? And then there's a couple different things that I've heard people say about metal and water. They say metal purifies water or metal carries water. There's different schools of thought, but that's the way that they all work together. Now they also work this way. Water douses fire, fire melts metal, metal chops down wood, wood pierces the earth with its roots, soaks up the nutrients, and earth can dam up water. So it's also transformative in that way. So that's why when you hear me talk about elements in people, I find it to be so helpful, because once you understand the Feng Shui elements, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. In nature, naturally, let's say I'm an earth person, a metal person would really drain me, because in the earth, I'm an earth person. The metal drains the earth of its resources. So that would make sense why when maybe I'm around a lot of metal people, or a really out of balance metal person, I will feel very drained. But when I'm around a fire, it's like, woo, I've got all the fuel that I need, because fire turns to ash, which feeds the earth. Funny story, before I even understood anything about Feng Shui, when I was 18, I got my first cat, and I named her Asha, which is German for ash. Think Rammstein, Asha zu Asche. And she's all gray, and all animals are the fire element. I'm an earth, so fire feeds earth, and I literally named her Asha, which is ash, because that's what feeds me. It's just a really funny thing how that works. So what I did with this in the soft metal area of the house was I wanted to symbolize, or help support that area of the home with this the 7 seashells. Not my best game. The plant did not like it. But you know what? These black river rocks do, because they're round, which is the symbol of metal, which is okay, and they're black, and they're river rocks, meaning that they tumbled in the river. So that's the water element, which feeds wood, and they're black, which is the color of the water element. So it all kind of works together there. It's feeding the plant. That's an example of a Feng Shui cure gone wrong. So sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm actually going to get rid of these little shells here, because they showed me that is not what they need. Here's what I did instead. The soft metal area of the home is the creation area, about like kids and creativity. So I added these 7 little knickknacks, like childhood knickknacks, next to a selenite bar. And the reason is these neighbors over here, they're going through some interesting that I don't want to come through this window at me when I'm doing dishes or at anybody in our home. So we put the selenite up there to protect, but I'll show you what else we did. We have a shungite sphere over here. This reason we chose a sphere is because the metal element in Feng Shui is symbolized by the circle. And so I wanted to make sure that we protected this area of the home from these neighbors and from, you should just have shungite in your home with the circle element. Now, I did not want to do any other shape like a pyramid in this area. Not my best idea, because a pyramid symbolizes fire, and fire melts metal, and this is a metal area, and I want to keep that chi, or that energy, flowing through my home by honoring every specific area. So all of that to say, it's a really cool thing to start looking at the Bagua map, BAGUA, and Feng Shui, and just kind of like look around your home. And maybe I'll show you later this week. I mapped out our home when we just got this new place. I mapped it out, and to just try to figure out like what colors we were going to do things. Like I chose in the hard metal, the yang metal area of our home, we were going to have dark gray curtains, but in the other side of the house, the mountain earth side of the house, the spirituality, the personal development area of the house, I chose blue curtains because that's the color for that area. And all of our little knickknacks and shungite and all of that in that area is cubes, because the cube, the square, is the shape for the earth. So there's a lot of really cool things that you can do to keep the energy flowing in your house so that you can feel good. Of course, that's old school. That's before we had internet and all of these things. So you want to make sure that you also are helping keep your house clean from things like Wi-Fi and all of that. So at the very, very least, make sure that you have shungite on your Wi-Fi elements, on your router, on your phones, on your computers, on your tablets. And you also want to make sure that you always unplug them when you go to sleep. We're going to talk more about the weird stuff that Wi-Fi and cell phones and all of that does to you. And I'm going to show you how you can turn something very, very important off on your router later this week. So I hope that you've had fun geeking out with me today. I am not an official Feng Shui master, although I feel like I must have done something in Feng Shui in a past life, because it has become very naturally to me. And like I said, I accidentally Feng Shui'd our entire house. I'll tell you a little secret about that. So if you've ever made a vision board before, we've been talking about the law of attraction these last few days. Susanna and I made a vision book for our first house that we were going to buy before we even knew what it was going to look like. We chose all the colors for all the rooms, and when we bought the house, we went out and bought the paint to paint all those rooms those colors, and so we definitely had the rainbow house. Funny thing, every color that we chose for every room in that house, I lined up perfectly with the Feng Shui Bagua map. So that was really cool. Even down to the fire area, which is the far back side of your house in the very center, had a roof, like an A-line roof, which was like a triangle, and we painted that whole wall red. Red is the color symbolizing fire, and so is the triangle. It was just insanely perfect. It was really, really cool. So if you want to geek out a little bit more, you can reach out to me, or you can just, Google it. But it's a lot of fun, and you want to make sure, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if you notice something telling you, notice the energy around you. The plants are telling you something's going wrong. This guy, it will probably be all better by tomorrow now that he doesn't have that metal element. In fact, he might actually not like these, so I might need to move those as well. But you ought to, whenever you affect energy, always watch and see what happens, even if it's your own energy. And then, figure out if there's any more adjustments you have to make. Okay, I will talk to you again tomorrow.